All right, so this was the feather stick here that I had made. So just to show you how finely we can get it here. There we go. So you have a little bit of the wind fighting us here. So one last thing I did want to show you was just some other things here to demonstrate for you. I'm going to take this down here real quick while that's going. All right, so I just want to show, well, perhaps, you know, we're gonna do some maybe wedges here, or not wedges, I'm sorry, notches. All right, we do your typical pot hanger notch, right? We'll try that. And now, as I'm saying, you know, these are all the things that you can do here with a large knife. Before you even go pulling the jackknife out or the Scandinavian ground knife, you can get one of these going actually quite rapidly. Well, like I said, we're just going to think a little bit different. Once you get the philosophy of use down, as it would be with any tool, then that's where the marriage of experience comes into play. Just get that sort of cleaned down there a little bit. So this here is what I've got. So we'll just back cut that. Now I use you know, chest lever grip a lot with a large knife. I find that gives you sufficient control over that large blade. Sometimes certain techniques work good. Sometimes you may have to adapt them, and you will find that all out. The more you get to use your large knife. As I said, the chest lever grip has always been a favorite of mine, especially with the large knife. You can do this off a tree, which I have done before. Matter of fact, it was another BK9 video where I utilized a tree for making some of these pot hanger notches. If we wanted to put a nice thing of coffee on, or whatever you want to do. Now, you know, once again, you'll find that a lot of work out in the bush is quite crude. It's not made for Hollywood. You'll see a lot of the old school woodsmen, you know, there's not all these neat, clean cut, you know, sawn things. I mean, you know, you'll see. You watch any vintage footage or any current footage on indigenous people, it's very precise work, but it's no more than necessary. It is no more than necessary. There's a certain craft, I guess, to knowing when to stop or how much effort to put in. So, I mean, this wouldn't be the stick that I would choose to do this with, but... So I like to keep this portion of my blade here a little bit polished up. I like that for a couple reasons. There's still enough patina on there where I don't have to worry about rust, but I do like the cutting efficiency of it. It gives me better sight picture of my blade, I feel. It prevents rust easier. I find maybe a little bit cleaner for food prep as well. None of it's necessary. And being out in the field long enough, I guess I would have to forego that. But it does take a long time to darken up. I don't do it after every use, but I do eventually take it and get the shine back on. Of course, you can just lay a piece of sandpaper over your whetstone and lightly keep this polished up. It's quite easy. Just rest it on that angle. This is a flat grind here, so it you know, will lay flat. Take some rubbing compound, whatever you'd like to do, and as I said, beauty of these two, we're going to be able to throw a spark with a ferrocerium rod, and of course we can throw a spark with flint and steel as well, being 1095. They do not come 90'd, you know, as sharp as we would like them in bushcraft. And this is the ferro rod that I've had for pretty much all my videos up to this point. And, you know, it sometimes isn't the best spark, but it's enough to affect whatever I need to affect. So keeping in mind, as I stated before, that this isn't a hatchet, this isn't an axe, this isn't a saw. This is a large knife that you will find that most of your camp chores, this will make a lot of that much easier for you. Some of the most important things in the field is fire and shelter. Thermal regulation, and those are the two that you really have control of, other than the clothing you wear, which is the most important thing to start off with. In fire and shelter, we're generally not talking about real pretty work. Okay, as you can see, my feathers work, they're sufficient enough, not a problem. Notches and different things. If I had to do some notch work to fit some shelter poles together, maybe I didn't have enough cordage, or my cordage was in use somewhere else. You can also make withies, obviously, and you know, soften that withy up with the spine of your knife. But perhaps that would be another aspect for shelter making, cutting down spruce boughs and the likes. Yes, you can use your hands for those, but sometimes if you don't have gloves, you can start wearing your hands down quite a bit, depending on the type of coniferous tree that you are using. But this, you can get a ton of bedding real fast. So, as I said, when it comes to thermal regulation, fire and shelter, a large knife is very advantageous. Very, very advantageous. Of course, as I stated earlier, I do carry a smaller knife with me as well. And that, to me, is this jackknife right here, Case Large Stockman. So, between these two right here, I can accomplish anything. We can do out panfish here, any tight notching or woodcraft work that I may need to do can be done with this knife as well. Any type of large food prep, breaking down large game, delimbing, sheltercraft, firecraft, any type of campcraft in general, use of a froe or draw knife, this right here, the large knife comes into play. Of course, you get into more extreme scenarios and extreme weather, the axe comes out as well, and now you have a very well-rounded kit between two knives like this and an axe, should you need to go that far in your setup to affect whatever is necessary for your outing. Thank you very much for watching. Bowies for the Woodsman. Kabar Becker, BK9. Take care.